He's talking to the wall. All right, so we're gonna figure out how to grade these things, these Bond movies, because I'm a neurotic fuck, and I think it's weird to judge all movies based on the same criteria.
Turns out you need rules to have fun, so we have done just that.
Yeah, that's my problem.
It's fucking rad.
But anyhow, so I asked you guys write down what you think makes a good Bond movie. So rather than me just drone on all of my ideas, do we want to kind of rotate? You got. I'll go first. So one thing I was thinking was these movies are very obsessed with the cool stuff, the stunts, the action sequences, right? So how much of that did we see? How much of it actually had to do with the story, and how much of it was just, hey, we're jerking off, we're blowing shit up, we
just to
look
blow
cool,
shit
because that does happen a lot. So, or is this just like an action movie after all? Should I just throw that criteria out of it completely? Because this is a spy movie and we need an action grading scale later.
At some point, though, I mean, we dive pretty hard to like. There's got to be action every at least 13 minutes. So
really, in the Pierce Brosnan era, it really hits you over the head with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the action sequence has to be in there, and maybe purposeful is part of that. Is it just so we can have some cool CGI, some explosions, some shit like that on screen,
right.
Or is it this is Bond kicking ass for a good plot reason?
Right.
The whole thing yes, I agree 1,000%. The one thing I think of, because the one we just watched had a lot of like meaningful action in it, I still go back to Pierce Brosnan surfing on an iceberg tidal wave where I'm like, that's fucking useless. Why the hell? Why is this a thing?
Listen,
and so
they thought they were the coolest people, though. That was like the latest cutting edge.
I know.
They were in there in Sony Vegas, 98 or whatever, splicing that shit up. They thought they were the hottest people around.
They did. They were very
and they were not.
Yeah, meaningful is definitely big for me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, give us a point.
So I broke things up into a couple different sections. I think the theme song needs to be kind of a section on its own. That's this one I go around is okay. How that intro theme goes and what it does. So is the theme song good? Does it apply to anything that this movie is actually about? In some of the ones we have themes where it's like, oh, we get a bunch of sandy backdrops or anything that kind of makes sense for Quantum of Solace. Are we covered in oil? Is this all like a bunch of like weird hacker stuff? Does the opening theme fit the theme of the story kind of thing?
Okay.
And then also, is the song just a banger? We can't all be dancing to the fire.
Right, yeah.
Some of them are
gonna die another day.
Yeah. Some of these are bangers, some of these are not. So I think the theme song definitely has to be its own category and how it fits the song.
I kind of wrote down something about the theme song because I was like, well, should the theme song be part of it, or are we? Because I mean, obviously, movies are, kind of subject to judgment on people's personal taste.
Sure.
So we're kind of. That logic is kind of hypocritical in itself, saying, well, music's objective. But I don't know. I was wondering if we leave music out of it, but I like what you're saying there on, is the opening theme relevant? Because we do have odd sequences sometimes with these opening, where like Octopussy was just terrible.
Completely irrelevant.
Probably the worst one, What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
I just don't think you weight it heavily. It takes a part, but you don't weight it. Action sequences is higher weighted, but the opening music, like you said, banger, yeah, check. It's good. Opening sequence, good. Does it lead into something? Like transitionally, takes you from that first scene to the actual first scene. It's good.
Does it set our stage, or is it just there for 8 minutes of screen time?
Yeah.
Okay. So the opening sequence, we'll go with opening sequence relevant. And I mean, bonus points if it's like, if we walk in and sing the hook to the song, right?
Which only happened the one time,
yeah.
So there's some bias there.
Gonna die another day.
No, we didn't sing Die Another Day.
Damn it.
Sorry.
So one of the big ones for me was the villain.
Okay.
And with the villain, it was, is his scheme actually believable? Is the, like, profiting part, again, believable? Is it a super far-fetched thing? Or is it, like, the one we just watched where it's like, oh, they just want to scheme to make money, so they're grifters, or they're in a power play to grift. Or is it something totally fucking ridiculous? And I know a lot of people really like Goldfinger, but it's just like, I'm going to, make all the gold worthless for so many years and it'll screw America and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, you're like, okay, sure, whatever. So that's the other part is like, the villain definitely takes a big role because, you look at Green, you look at Le Chiffre for the newer ones, you look at, the Brosnan eras where it's the henchmen and the villains, and you're like, okay, well, did it add to the story, take away from the story, or was it like a core feature that really sold me the movie from a popcorn movie to a good movie?
And, a good way to put that, are we devaluing gold? Are we sterilizing the entire planet Earth and creating a new space colony of people that we can, procreate with later? Different levels of involvement, different impacts on society at large. Sure. And not that it's any closer to being in the realm of possibility or feasibility.
Is it believable, I think, is the wrong thing there, but I mean,
is it justifiable? Is that maybe it? Like, does it make sense?
I don't know.
I guess another point is like, does it go with the times? So during the Cold War, some of the bonds like Russia's the enemy. This is the Cold War.
Yeah.
So it's like the actual like plot of the villain. So is it espionage? Is it nuclear war? Is it space colonies? Is it, we just have an evil organization that's doing these things and we control everything, and this one movie just focuses on, we need money, so strong arm a country, that type of thing. So I guess it just depends. And that this is hard. Like, actually, like, funneling these down is super fucking difficult. Because I just keep, like, rallying off all the ones I can think of. I'm like, shitty, good, shitty, good, shitty, good. Like,
so
2 buckets.
Yeah. That was the one. So I had this note of, like, I was just going to say at the end to kind of throw a wrench in everything. But I might as well say it now because, does a bad Bond movie actually mean it's a great Bond movie? Because most of the Bond movies do the ridiculous stuff. So it's practically a requirement for a Bond movie, meaning the bad ones are good and the good movie itself is bad in relation to it being a Bond movie. So do we just grading wise, do we just go, hey, was this plot fucking ridiculous and it veered off course three separate times and we don't know what the hell's going on? Yes. Okay. See, 2 points.
And that's the thing. If we want to caveman this shit, what is a Bond movie? Spy shit, gadget shit, stupid ass plot, hot women, and then bonding an alcoholic, maybe.
Yeah. Trauma bonding and alcohol bondisms.
Yeah, bondisms. Yeah, right. Like, is it just Bond in character?
So basically, all the Craig movies just like, okay, these are bad. And then, everything before, like in the Moore era.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Roger Moore.
Yeah. I don't know. So, like, should we just do that? Should we just go, okay, like, he fucked 4 women, like.
Yeah, to me, like, yeah, that's points on the board. The more women you fuck, the higher points, and it's just flat points. We don't gotta weigh it or nothing.
Right.
It's like if Sean Connery, racism points.
Yeah,
racism points. Yeah, I mean, dude, that means You Only Live Twice is the best Bond movie. It's 10 out of 10. He literally, they put some shit. They gave him a bowl cut. And he put things over his eyelids, and he's like, "I'm Chinese," and that's it. Like, dude,
had a wife.
You Only Live Twice is the best Bond movie ever in that case.
And maybe like Bond consistency is where that comes in, right? Like, is Bond always a Bond, or is he just another guy and they call him Bond sometimes? You know what I mean? It's like at the core, it's a guy who's suave as shit. He uses gadgets and shit. He's a terrible spy. He always gets caught. He, accidentally finds out the plot. He's accidentally where he needs to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And like this would be.
Is he bad at his job?
Is he bad at his job?
He's the best at being terrible at his job.
Yeah.
He's also the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah, he's got 10 points in luck for sure.
Charisma, +10.
Yeah.
Luck, +10.
Which I guess in a certain case you go like, okay, well then how do you grade like a Roger Moore Bond man? But then it just gets too stupid,
It's fine.
Another one, because we already kind of said it, you brought it up, was gadgets. And I lumped in cars with gadgets also.
Sure.
Which then also goes hand in hand that I had another one with Moneypenny, M, and Q. So Q always had like...
Q is an element to Craig movies that I miss.
I know.
I loved that
not to
part
mention,
of it.
we've just dropped gadgets entirely. Like,
They come back a little bit in the following movies, but yeah.
Because it was always like a nice, refreshing scene where you saw the workshop, you saw the other things that probably aren't going to be used, and then you saw the shit he was going to use, and it was like, all right, here we go. How's he going to use it?
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. And then like Q always had like the little, quips or little, rib jabs at Bond that like made it funny and like heartwarming part.
The Q rundown was, something I always really appreciated going through the Bond
usually
series.
filled with Bondisms.
Yeah.
It's
great.
So, I mean, do we try to do like a little mixture maybe of like, well, was it ridiculous in this way, but then, or I don't know. Do we play this straight or do we just go like, hey, how do you make the most terrible movie but best Bond-wise?
I think it's got to be the best like Bond style movie. It doesn't have to be a good movie. It has to fit the Bond elements, and I think that's where it puts stuff in the ridiculous category, right?
Yeah.
Like it's great when stuff is like more realistic or more serious tone, but I feel like at its core essence, I've had the most fun
when they
it doesn't add up, like when it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're coming from different sides. Talk me through it.
So this all cuts at the Craig era for me, like because they like made the Craig era relatable, understandable, not cheesy,
like a decent spy movie.
Yeah. And so they just veered off to like, hey, like we get it, but like let's make something good.
Yeah.
And so like everything we're talking about can grade perfectly before Craig.
Yeah.
Because you're like goofy shit. Yep. And like then you have like the cool cars, the classic cars, the cool gadgets, the weird gadgets. But it's like Craig doesn't do any of these.
Yeah.
And it's rare that you'll see an ism or you'll see... The tropes are still there, of course, but like... It's just...
almost like they're not aware of the tropes as they're doing the movie.
Yes. Or there's like...
It's representative of real life, right? Because the generation before ruined it for everybody else, right? So...
Yep. Nailed it. Yeah.
Kids these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, because it's like we're going through this and it's like, well, I really liked all the Craig movies, but how we're grading them, they're all going to come out shitty. And it's like the most far-fetched, crazy ones that were like, movie-wise, enjoyment-wise, yeah, through the roof. But like, I guess is that what we're trying to grade too? Or like...
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is it a good movie because it's a good movie, or is it like a Bond good movie?
Right.
And so it's like, because we're doing the criteria of like the craziest shit, the most outlandish shit gets the cake. And you're like, well, but was it the best movie? Like, meh.
We gotta try to toe this line in some way.
Yeah.
So like, we can say like number of sexual partners, right? That's bonus points. Where like, so a lot of the Craig movies are going to be higher rated in other aspects.
So okay, so
whereas
to me,
they're going to lose points because he's going to have less.
So
less women.
That sounds to me is like the criteria is like the.
It's like
the way we weigh them all is like off of is it a good movie, is it realistic type of thing, and then bonus points are just to make the old school Bond movies have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
like
that's
a credit
it.
score,
yes,
where they go like, well, how much debt do you have? And they're like, well, also,
Yeah.
I don't like how many lines of credit you have. And you're like, well, wait, I thought that affected the score. It's like, well, yes, it does affect it positively, but also it affects it negatively.
But it's like, to me, that's coming across to be like, all right, so Dr. No got a 4 out of 10, but I got a batshit score of 64, which means realistically it comes out to a 7.2.
Yeah.
Yep. Relatable.
You explain that to that guy right now.
I think you
Tell me
got
how that works.
I think you got it, man.
I haven't mastered the calculation, mind you, for bad shit, but we're getting close.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay. So, now that we're nowhere.
No, we're here.
We're now here.
We're now here.
We've gone from nowhere.
Yeah.
Just pointing at ghosts. Ghosts.
I ain't afraid
No,
of
no,
ghosts.
just want to make sure you stay in
Come on
frame,
back.
you know? Yeah.
Also, don't go too far away from the mic. We talked.
You're right. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
make
sorry.
sure you're
I'm sorry.
on the mic. Okay.
White people.
So,
Whites.
let's try. Oh, well, okay. You want to read off what you got? Or at least another. How many do you have, I guess?
I wrote a couple, so like originality was one that I had down.
I love originality.
That's good. I did not have that.
I think no matter if we're going for goofy or not, I think originality is super important.
And, kind of what feeds into that is like, pacing. How well do we run through that story? Or is it just like the last 20 minutes, a bunch of shit unfolds for no reason?
Did you have an awesome idea and then did nothing with it?
Or did you have an awesome idea and then you wanted 20 more minutes of screen time, so you convoluted it for no reason?
That too, yeah.
So then, the pacing. And then complexity. Does it make is it too far away from
Don't
being
need me
too
work
sensible?
for it. Originality, complexity.
Simplicity.
But I have to watch this
complexity.
twice to really get what I was getting at the end of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the one thing I wrote down was, fuck, where'd it go? Is the plot straightforward? Not breaking off another storyline or two towards the halfway point, or like 20 minutes left in the movie. You're like, wait, who's this guy? But also, is it a spy movie? So should we have to do some work? Like, I'm contemplating, whether that's a good thing or not, because I feel like if a movie is making you work for it a little bit, shouldn't we know that in the beginning? Something like, I don't know, like a Scream, a Memento, Inception, Shutter Island, that kind of shit, where, is this movie designed for you to ponder? Like, I don't feel like James Bond movies are designed for you to ponder.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
There's been very few that
Just
I've
feed
watched
it to
and
me.
I'm afterwards. I'm like, what a conundrum.
Seldom do I lay in bed at night going,
I did not see that coming.
what an interesting artistic choice. But yeah.
Usually it's I'm laying in bed and I do. Remember when they did that kazoo sound when they did a barrel roll in that one Bond movie?
And it was
one
the
of the
best
Roger
stunt.
Moores.
Yeah.
It was the coolest stunt because it was real.
It was real.
It was
They
a real
actually
fucking stunt.
did that
And then
to
it was
the
like
car.
the second try or something. It was the first or second
It was
try.
literally, they made the calculation. Dude sat, so
Yeah,
like,
they did. They did
like
the
it was
math.
such a cool
They
special
did the
effect
math.
because the guy sat,
remember what you're talking
The guy
about
had to
now.
sit in the middle of the, they had to design it so the guy was sitting exactly in the center of the car, not to fuck up any of the weight distribution. And then he had to get, I think it was like
It had to be
88 miles an hour
exactly-
keeps coming to my head, but that's the DeLorean, and I know that's not right. But he had to get up to an exact speed
1955.
and able to do the barrel roll, and it was a really cool stunt. And then they put that fucking
fucking.
and you're like, come on, man.
It downplayed it so much, but like to me, like I think the practical effect aspect just of the old ones in general was just so phenomenal, and nothing that's CGI or modern touches it. It doesn't look as cool, sure, but it was just really cool to look at the special features and see how they did some stupid fucking card trick.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So that, I mean, this is all kind of starting to sound like when we did horror grading with originality. Are you overcomplicating it? Practical effects.
What is a movie? Is it all of these things?
Yeah, really.
What else you got? You want me to read mine?
Well, yeah.
So I'll just read them.
I mean, a lot of mine are being burned, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anything to keep Tyler from talking, I think. Is
Yeah,
really
dude, shut the
goal
fuck
here.
up. So I had my very first one was like Bond, believable, likable. Does he fit the role? How is the actor actually playing it? So I had villain, I had Bond girl to be a good one, or Bond girls. So who comes up, who plays that part, how does she play it, hotness, that type of thing.
Is she there just to be boned, or is she actually there for a reason? Type of
Does she have any value? Is that necessarily points off?
I think it's how it's used, right? Like, if the point is for her to be, just someone to bone and be hot on screen, I think that's points on the board. If she's there to drive a plot along, I think she gets points on the boards based off of how impactful her driving that plot along is. So I think it's utilization of the woman. Does she fit the role that she was put into? Being hot is easy, but does she do anything?
So I guess
relevant? Things that don't matter. Women.
This is gonna go great.
And then it's bonus points if they do positively affect the story.
It's just like real life. It sounds
it's just like real life.
I'm not signing off on that.
We'll fix that in post.
I'm totally signing off on that.
We can do
that. There it is.
Where he said I'm not signing off on
great.
that. Yeah, you gave me everything I needed.
I did Moneypenny, M&Q, gadgets, cars lumped into that, plot. Like you said, is it streamlined? Is it completed by the end? So the problem arises. Does the hero find the solution and everything gets fixed and goes back to normal, or are you left hanging? Where is the arc? Is it slow building?
Are there unfulfilled pieces of it?
Or yeah, exactly. Locations came up a lot, and
Moonraker, they're still in space at the end of that movie. Yeah, I mean, track record on getting back to Earth through the atmosphere. I mean, it doesn't go well, know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be fine.
So locations, and it started on like the newer ones where it like shows you like Siena, Italy, and you're like, oh yeah, and then you like start like recognizing every single one because your brain's like thinking about it. I had tropes, isms, music, and then the action sequences. Did they add to it or take away from it? So, all right.
I feel like there should be a bonus point section for how many locations did you go to.
Really, I think it's points off because so often it just feels like they're jerking off with like helicopter shots of like, I don't know. I just get so over like, well, now we have to go to Bolivia,
and it's like there's 16 minutes of screen time left. How are we?
Austria, just for an opera, just for an opera,
fucking time. It's like sometimes in the anyway. Like Moonraker, we went. How many different places we go in fucking Moon? Sorry, Moonraker is a very sore spot for me. I just hate that.
Come on, man. Pro Jaws.
I am very pro Jaws, and like that,
an underutilized,
such an underutilized guy. Like he's in 2 fucking movies.
Is gimmick like a category we should have on these?
Yes.
Like, each movie has
Odd Job,
a thing.
Jaws,
right? It doesn't have to necessarily be a person always, but like there has
to
be
like hat throwing that somehow like, oh, that's gonna cut that dude's head off, or Jaws like literal metal teeth. Yeah, Diamond Face. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, well,
no one does.
Yeah, really. I mean, well, that was going to be a terrible thing to say. Never mind.
No, come on, say it.
All right,
we can fix it in post.
Sore spot for you. Chases.
I feel such a way about the chases because sometimes they're fine, and if they're like 3 minutes or less, like that's my sweet spot. Like it doesn't need to be an elongated. Yeah. Oh look, are you still coming?
A 13-minute boat chase.
A 13 fucking minute boat chase. Yeah. I was writhing like literally a perfect movie for me at the time. Outside of this fucking boat chase.
I definitely agree.
Is that in all movies or just Bond movies for you?
Oh, all movies. I hate a chase scene that just like has to go on just to eat up screen time. Like, sure, it looks cool, but at some point, I don't give a shit that we're still in the same cars, driving around the same streets, and I'm still dodging you. Wow, how high octane is this?
Well, and like
pull over and just punch each other. It would be more exciting at this stage.
Well, it becomes so much less impactful too because like I think it's Bad Boys 2 when they're on the freeway. and they're chasing the fuck. I don't even remember the plot of that movie. You know,
Irrelevant.
The chase scene was so good.
But I think it was like 15 fucking minutes. It had to be.
And who needs that? Who needs that in their life?
Chasing that, dude. It's
Fast
a
and the Furious.
long ass chase. I mean, okay, look, if it's a movie about cars, sure, you know,
But barely. Barely.
barely. Yeah. Mostly it's about family.
What is the family to race ratio?
Well, then in the end, it's not even racing. Now it's just a podcast about us bashing fucking Fast and Furious. So anyway, I think we're making some headway here. Action sequences are meaningful. Compounded with the practical effects, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, maybe that's not the same thing. Never mind. Well, action sequence is meaningful. That kind of ties our chases in, right? Chases where the chase is relevant, right? Where they, didn't drag on, not 13 minutes, because a chase can be a good plot device. I mean, I didn't think we had any overplayed chases in Quantum of Solace.
I thought they were meaningful.
I have a predisposition, so
I'm a little biased.
The boat one.
just even off the bat, I was like, "Oh, we're opening with a chase!" Like I was just already.
At least it was quick.
It was quick.
It was
like
point,
sweet
and
spot,
it was
3 minutes
cool.
ish.
Like, did you get in? Did you do some cool shit? And did you end it in a timely manner?
I
thought
just know
A+ execution.
the first
on
couple
the
frames
beginning.
started calling. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Opening with a chase.
Sure.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Kill me now.
Just
Okay, but
turns it off.
Tyler, I did not watch Quantum of Solace. I stopped at
I'm
about
not
the 3 minute and 47 second mark.
Yeah,
I'm not showing up. That's
not gonna happen.
coming today. Okay, so you guys did original for me. We covered chases. We covered the song.
Dance into the fire. This song slaps. It
does.
Since watching it together as us and Harley, that song just is regularly cycled through the background noise in my head.
Oh God,
Dude,
it is instilled in me.
Dude, so my wife and I sat in the living room the other week, and for the conclusion episode of all the recap of all the Bonds, I think ranking songs should be a thing we do.
Yeah, fine.
Madonna. If you want to sit there, fuck you. If you want to sit there and just listen to all the
no, it's yours.
All the beers being exchanged. There's no. Anyway,
it's fine.
We're not bare on beer supply, so.
Anywho,
it's a good time, just because
I think ranking the music would be good. I think it's going to be difficult.
It's a fun activity with your spouse, is all I was saying. So, because they might not get into the movies so much, but then the song thing. I mean, my wife was into that. So,
song.
yeah,
That's all you need.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about cool stuff. We talked about the plot not being retarded.
Did they do
Biggest
cool shit?
lime.
The lime is so big. Oh
I
God!
can't even fit it in this fucking bottle. So big. I
did bring paper towels.
The girth and the mush. The goddamn mush.
All right, I do think gadgets need to be a point we hit where
Yes.
if we. Okay, here's
I
the thing.
miss gadgets.
You lumping
gadgets?
cars into gadgets?
Sure, yeah.
So,
no, we'll throw cars in because here is the other thing.
Cars
GoldenEye.
Yeah, there it is.
GoldenEye. He gives him the brief on this fucking car that shoots missiles and has machine guns and everything. And then what's he do? He just fucking drives it down the beach. And then he gives it to Wade. And then Wade doesn't show up and solve any problems with it later. Wade just shows up and he's like, "Hey, Jimmy!" And then and then the movie ends.
Wade was split though.
Wade's underrated character. Yeah,
underrated.
Yes, but I think gadgets need to be a part of it. So gadgets need to be a part of it. Cars are lumped in. If you give us a brief on these fucking gadgets and then they don't come up again, that's a problem to me.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I can get that, like, sometimes they don't find, like, a plot reason.
Well,
to
then
use
don't
it,
put
but,
him
like-
in the fucking Q
Well, I mean,
briefing.
it's just like,
I
it's
love
cool,
the
though.
Q briefing
Yeah.
because even in the background of
Don't rip
seeing
Q.
the other shit that they are
Well,
working
sure.
on is like
Of
a
course
novelty
The ghetto
for me.
blaster didn't come up. Okay.
But it was so cool!
Like that, but he didn't give him the ghetto blaster, did he? If you give Bond a thing, he needs to fucking use it.
They should bring it up in the next movie.
Sure, maybe, yeah.
And then
That's
just
not what I'm
staring at the
saying.
camera like, that's for you, Tyler.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you give him you brief him on a thing and you give it to him. It's one thing to see something in passing and go, well, why didn't they fucking... It's like, well, yeah, because it was just in the lab. It's like, why didn't the sub sandwich come up later? You know, when he had his fucking lunch. He's like, that's my lunch. That's not a gadget. It's fine. All I'm saying is, if you give him a thing, you brief him on it, it needs to be utilized. I think it's stupid to have it in there regardless, if not. So, anyway.
Yeah, I can agree.
Gadgets are in there. Gadgets are part of it.
Go gadget.
The only other... I don't know if... I think this is the only one you guys didn't hit in yours is... And maybe we just throw this one out. Because I can only really think of one example of where it comes up. Espionage might be included with cool stuff, maybe. Though I feel like that might be limited to effects. The first thing I think of with like espionage was them doing the cigarette code in From Russia with Love, right? Where he gets off the train and he goes, "Hey, you got a match?" And, actually, I got a lighter. And then he's like, "Oh, even better," until it goes wrong, and then that's how their code, how they know it's it's buddies. Which that's the only thing I can really think of.
I mean,
As
we could
far
still
as,
put
like,
that into the overall
spy
just like
stuff.
just spy shit category, right?
So, like, in the new ones, would you say, like, technology, not as a gadget, but, like, when Bond takes pictures and it immediately sends...
Facial IDs and
Yeah.
Spy
So-
stuff. That's spy stuff.
So that would be
Or
spy
but
stuff.
that might lump in with gadgets too, though.
Because, like, when they have, like, the
The
table...
activity is spy shit, but the technology is gadgets.
But I would even say because they're not presenting these gadgets to Bond, per se, to use in the field, and it's like, oh, it's the tech, that it's like, well, MI6 has that, so it is espionage-based. I guess that's where my brain goes. It's not presented to him. He's just... It's like a normal,
Like
everyday
business as
thing.
usual activity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so we can lump spy stuff in with
Somewhat technology.
the gadgets, yeah. Spy stuff.
Spy stuff.
For being an older movie, From Russia with Love, kind of
Slaps.
yeah, kind of pretty good. We talked.
Kind of pretty good. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
I-
women.
Women.
Do we need style of the bang, or do we just go like how many girls did he bang? All the only reason I say style of the bang, beginning of Living Daylights, he needs her phone, her boat, and her pussy.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he like flew in on or crashed in on her boat.
Yeah.
I was like, you got a phone? I need your boat, your phone, and your pussy.
Do we just leave it at like bonus points for amount of bangs, or isn't that too sexist? Do we just leave it out?
That's too sexist.
Do we just have a category that's Bond women utilization, and it's a plot bang, number of bangs, like
I love it. Bond women
Body count.
utilization.
how do we use the Bond women? That still doesn't land very well, does it?
No.
It doesn't. Dude, come on. They're like these movies are fucking terrible with that shit. Like you just
The old ones are.
They treat women.
remember in
so
Goldfinger, and I think it's Goldfinger where
Oh,
that
one of the old
girl's-
ones? No way.
Yeah, no. He's like the girl's rubbing his shoulders, and then he's like, "Mink, meet Felix." he's like, "Hi." He's like, "Say goodbye, Mink." What?
Yeah.
He's like, "Man talk," and he turns her around, and smacks her on the ass,
Yeah.
and she walks away.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the one where the 14-year-old was trying to bang him.
Yeah, that's negative points.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
But it's positive points for Bond because, despite all odds, he did not give in.
You know what? True.
You know
That's
what?
true.
If that was Connery, I think it would have been done.
100%.
Well, times were different.
Like I think Connery would have talked to him. Like, hey, you think
He would have entertained the
Yeah.
idea. Like, I could get away with it, right?
But I'm Sean Connery.
You could cover this up. I hear there's a pill.
All right, so we covered Bondisms. I think Bondisms fall into like bonus category or like bonus points.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're not always going to be used, but when they are, they're dynamite or terrible.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's most of my shit. Do we develop some sort of Bond movie mission statement?
No.
Okay.
I don't know how you would staple that together.
All right. So what we have left here are the action sequences meaningful. That lumps chases being relevant in there. Was the opening sequence relevant? Okay. Well, that should probably be number one, I suppose. Originality, complexity or lack thereof, which is a good thing. Practical effects, maybe lumped in with the gadgets / action sequences, I suppose, right?
A little bit.
Gadgets, cars, spy stuff.
Cool shit.
Bond women, I think, are two bonus point categories: Bond women utilization and Bondisms.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's funny because now that I'm thinking of it, it was just more blatant in the old ones of like body count, but the new one still fucking does it all the time.
Yeah, you still get at least a few.
I mean, sort of, but like these first two Craig movies,
dude,
two women,
Strawberry Fields,
2 women,
and he even likes one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just saying, 2 women so far. I mean, it grows, but
yeah,
it's important to have a side chick.
Yeah, it does.
2 women. That's all I'm saying. All right, so
twins.
So we gotta wait. We gotta wait. Twins. All right, so we gotta wait these a little bit. So what happened?
That's Quackmass.
What? Okay.
When you're older.
What happened was the story original. Wasn't too complex, not confusing. Like, honestly, spoon feeding in this scenario, kind of a good thing. Who did it happen to? I think you throw the women in there. It was Bond. Like, who's the victim in this scenario? Are they interesting? Villain. Are they cool? I mean,
yeah.
Lashif inherently is like a cool villain, right? But I think some villains are boring. I think the Blofeld thing was a little tired by the time we got to Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah.
Despite me really liking that one for whatever reason. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, how did it happen? So that weighs, did we have a 13-minute boat chase? Probably points off in that case. Where the chase is meaningful. Do we have a good chase, such as Quantum of Solace? Like, short to the point, you know.
Good gadgets, bad gadgets, utilization of gadgets.
Right. You know, do we have some cool espionage stuff? And where does our opening sequence fall in? Is that a bonus point one? Should we make everything add up to
10.1?
So then we have 3 bonus point, or you know.
I mean, none of these are ever going to be at 10. Points? So
sure. So you're just saying on sheer confidence of like, none of these will add up. So potentially it will be 10.5.
I don't think it is possible for any of these to ever be a 10.5.
You know, that's fair.
So if we had that as its own...
All right, bonus points. So bonus points for opening sequence.
Yep.
Cool opening sequence. Relevance.
Memorability.
Good song. Memorability.
Yeah, name 3 opening sequences right now, and not just the theme song.
Good song, relevant visuals.
Casino Royale. All the spades, diamonds, hearts, clubs. Showing Vesper. The one I just watched today.
I don't like that he's doing all right with this so far. He had a solid opener.
He's only talking about the ones he watched in the last couple months. And nothing. Yeah. Nothing.
Pre-1990s.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. No, he's out.
We're all out, I think.
Yeah.
What was the one where there was the wedding and they flew over in the helicopter?
License to Kill.
Was that License to Kill?
They caught a plane with a helicopter.
Yeah.
Made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I hated that so much.
Yeah, that was bad. That would be points off.
Yeah,
That'd be points off.
Badass.
All right. Well, I think we did it.
Good team.
3-3-3, half.
Yeah. So really, we have the potential to be 10.5 points, but none of them.
You've seen a Bond movie.
As
You
you
know that's
said,
not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
Not until Family Bonds comes out.
that's right. Okay. Well, I think we ended it, and then yeah,
Go team.
we did it. All right.